probably says a lot about Doobie Brothers fans.
What are you expecting? A big sound tonight? Or I know it's all the original guys, so it should be some great music.
I'm sure it'll be great music. Yeah, sound definitely. Good show.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
Not really.
Are you here for Grand Funk or the Doobie Brothers?
Doobie Brothers.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye. Oh, can I get your name?
Sure, it's Dee.
Dee, where are you from? Lancaster or Palmdale?
Actually, Yorba Linda.
You're kidding me. You drove all the way up from Yorba Linda?
Absolutely. We're here visiting friends.
Well, good. Have a good time today.
Thanks very much.
Let me guess. Are you here to see Grand Funk Railroad or the Doobie Brothers?
Well, the Doobie Brothers, but they're both great classic rock bands, and they're not selling Grand Funk hats, so I didn't have a choice. But they're great bands.
Have you ever seen them in concert before?
No, it's the first time.
Did you used to have their records and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Still got them. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you even have an old record player left?
I actually do have a turntable somewhere in my garage. Yeah.
I was just going to make you pull out the old albums and listen to them?
That's it. Take out the old albums and then play the CDs while I'm looking at the album covers.
Thanks for your comments. And what's your name? Where are you from?
Joel from Lancaster.
Thanks, Joel.
No.
So we had the old Slingerland, or?
Well, he did, yeah. And we'd sat down in the basement and we'd listen to records, and he'd show me, what the drummer was doing, and I'd pick it up and do that. So I learned, it's kind of a self-taught, drummer. Yeah.
Now you grew up in, correct me if I'm wrong, Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
Were you guys influenced by the Detroit sound at that time, or was it before that?
We were more influenced by, the Motown stuff and all the stuff coming out of the South, it was just, we were definitely the soul band stuff. That was what we were into. It was all the soul stuff. And that was one of the songs we covered later on, was Some Kind of Wonderful, which is an old Soul Brother Six song. It's great.
Great choice. Was that a big step for you to cover? I bought all the albums when you first started out. The amazing thing to me was at the time, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the press, Rolling Stone, everybody wasn't even playing you on the records. But you guys had such big following among people like me that were buying your albums, and there were, it seemed like, riots wherever you guys played.
We really built up a following by playing live shows. That was our big thing. And thanks to FM Underground Radio back then, you could, as we were traveling around the country, we could go into stations at midnight, and sit down and play play the album, and we would build up a following like that. Before you knew it, we had a following all across the country, except in places like New York and Los Angeles and Chicago, because we weren't playing those markets. We were playing smaller markets, and I think that the bigger markets kind of got a little upset that here we made it out there before they had a chance to say, oh, we like you, especially Rolling Stone magazine and stuff. They didn't want to accept us at first, and it kind of played into our favor. It made a controversy, this is the band the critics hate, but the people love them.
Now, what were the concerts all about? I was at the Anaheim Convention Center. There were police lined up all around the
We were at that show. Yeah. Well, that was the time when people, all the hippies wanted free music. They didn't think that the promoters should charge for music, so they wouldn't pay. They'd stand around the outside and then they'd crash the gates. And that's what happened there, was that they waited until the show was almost ready to start, and then they crashed through the back doors through this big glass and stuff, and just here comes thousands of people charging, and the police aren't, what are they going to do? Stop, shoot them? They're not going to shoot them,
We had wondered what had happened, because when we came out, there were police lined up all around the arena, so it was wild.
Yeah, it happened a couple of times in Fort Lauderdale. We played this place called Pirates World down there. It was an amusement park, and the kids used to set the police cars on fire. They'd turn the police car into a Molotov cocktail and set it on fire, thinking that would be a distraction, then they could charge in, for free.
Now, how did you guys progress so fast, it seemed like, because we had all the earlier albums, and then you went and redid Locomotion, and that sort of, you guys took off like a rocket, it seemed.
It was really, Locomotion was kind of an afterthought for that album. We had finished the album, we were all done with it, and Mark walked in from, coming back from dinner, he walked into the studio one day and he was just nonchalantly singing, everybody's doing a brand new dance now, and we all jumped in on it, and we went, Todd Rundgren was producing the record. Todd, we got to do this. This would be great. Locomotion by Grand Funk Railroad. It was almost like stupid, So, Todd had the idea to make it sound like a big party going on, a big rock and roll party going on in the studio, and it really worked. It really, I think that version of Locomotion is probably the most popular one. Yeah.
Now, you guys must have been accomplished musicians because you were, at the time, a power trio, and if I remember correctly, nobody made as much noise, was as fantastic a drummer or lead guitar player, or I believe at the time, Mel would even do bass lead lines or something.
Sure, yeah, but it was, we just played it loud, and filled up all the holes, and, that's what trios do, you just try to, make up for the space there, and it was fun because you get to play more, as a drummer, as a bass player, as a guitar player, you get to play more rather than worrying about whether you're getting in somebody's way,
What was the adulation like? Because I was there and you guys were it. I mean, you were everywhere. You were on billboards, you were in magazines, causing riots. What was that like being on?
It was pretty overwhelming. We were lucky that we stayed, with our families in Flint, Michigan, and we didn't move off to New York or Los Angeles and kind of fall into the, to that kind of a scene. And it kind of kept us down to earth. All of our friends would keep us down to earth, and it was good. It was very overwhelming to have that kind of, notoriety worldwide. To go to Japan and get off an airplane and have screaming fans waiting for you at the airport. It was pretty amazing.
Do you contribute that to your father, having grown up in the business? And I think Mark Farner's father was a fireman, and you guys were pretty much down to earth. Do you contribute that to?
Well, I just think that our families that expected that of us, not to get too big headed and do that kind of stuff. It was really more of a family kind of a thing. Yeah.
What about, can you give me a story on We're an American Band? Love the drum lead in that. Was that just, did that just come to you, or how did that come about?
Cowbell, well, we worked on it for a few days and tried to figure out, what, first there wasn't any drum intro, and then all of a sudden it was, well, let's do a drum intro. Oh, and I think Mark said, it's got to be a cowbell, so I started with the cowbell thing, and then worked up, into this deal where it's, I was always big on using my right foot all the time, making it sound like I was playing double-footed, but it was a single foot, so that's kind of where that came from, is kind of a signature thing that I do, and it's just the whole thing with American Band was we were touring for the Phoenix album, I think it was, and we were being sued by our former manager, and we had a lot of crap going on, and we were traveling around from town to town, and I saw what I saw. We would come to town, and it was like, all right, come on down to the party. I felt like that's where that first line came from in the song is, we're coming to your town, we'll help you party it down, and that's what I thought of first for the song. And then, of course, just to make the statement, we're an American band, it was just a finality, to it, and that's where it came from. And I took little snippets of what was going on the road, the thing with Freddie King. Freddie King was our opening act, and
oh my God,
the Four Young Chiquitas in Omaha, and, Sweet Sweet Connie, and just little things that were happening on the road, and, blew them up, threw them into the song, and I never really thought it was going to be some sort of an anthem. I mean, back then we never thought that the stuff would be around in 30 years, I mean, we really thought it was just, we had our heyday and that would be it. And here we are, 35 years later, we're still playing, and and it's awesome to be able to do this. I really have to say it's awesome.
What is it like the second time around? I mean, you look really young, and is this the music that's done it to you, being around the music, or what is it?
It's doing what you like to do. I think I mean being able to make a career out of what you love to do. That's what everybody's dream is. So that's what I love. And
so the second time around, you're able to handle all the big venues, and
it's a whole different thing than what it was when we in the 70s. We were a new band and a hot band, and music meant a whole different thing then to that generation than it does now. Now I know it's nostalgia, but it's great to walk out on stage and see kids and parents and grandparents, and everybody knows, I start singing, I don't need a whole lots of money. I don't need a big fine car. Pretty soon the audience is singing the words louder than I am, and to have generations know your music is just that. It's a terrific feeling.
So you don't have to work to sell it; they're already pretty much gone when you.
There, yeah, they love the music, and we love to give it to them. We like to do a high energy rock and roll show with all the